want you anywhere.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to it.
Good morning to the folks. What up to the youngins and bless up to the world.
And then Tay just put your info on blast like that.
It's what the people want to know, bro. My bad.
Nah, bro. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to it. It is the Morning Shake with me, your host, Xavier, and of course, my co-host, Mr. J. Paris, before you go, my brother, I haven't been in the seat in a minute, bro. I even feels a bit like weird, bro. It's been
now, there we at.
Are you there, bro?
Yeah,
all right, now I'm saying I
skin.
haven't been on the seat in a minute, bro. And it actually even feels a bit strange. It's like, yo, what's happening? Like,
But it's all good, broski. Obviously, it is a bit cold, but winter's fading away. Summertime's kicking in, bro. You back better than ever. Heated up.
Of course.
We here to make this Monday morning happen. Good morning to the folks. What up to the youngins and bless up to the world. It's your boy J. Paris. We're coming to you live on this beautiful Monday morning, as I said, from Johannesburg, South Africa. It's the Morning Shake.
We got producer Lee in the studio. Producer Lee, you must give us
Facts. Cue it up. Cue it up.
Yeah, bro. So anyway, our guest is definitely on his way. I just had a chat a little bit a couple of minutes ago and find out how far he is, and he's definitely on his way. But before we get into that, my brother, you guys have been excited. I see you have a brand new show that you've been doing for the past couple of weeks on a Friday morning. I don't know, did you name it yet, or was it kind of just it just kind of happened by chance?
Yeah.
What's happening on that show?
Jezzo, pull through, broski.
Pull through, bro.
Pull through, because I tag team.
Are you still on the call? I'm in camera.
I tag team with Jezzo, bro. We speak all things football, and it really gets heated up in this studio, bro. But we excited because tonight is Liverpool versus Manchester United at Old Trafford.
That's like
and
that's like Chiefs and Pirates here, man.
it is like Chiefs and Pirates. Although both teams are kind of struggling a little bit, it's all good. But yeah, I'm optimistic that the Liverpool will leave with the 3 points, and yeah, we probably gonna be back this Friday again speaking about it, because there's been predictions. Yeah, the gents made their predictions last week Friday. We're gonna cut those clips, put it together, and see if the gents are right or wrong. But we so excited about it, bro. We so excited. You know, football,
dope,
bro.
bro.
Football is football.
And football always gets the guys like fighting, bro. I see in the comment section when your show is on, the comment section is going crazy. People are like, I know, this one, that one. The guys just really going for it as far as that's concerned. But I've been around, bro. I've been doing a bunch of other stuff. There's some stuff I'm working on for myself as well,
bro.
Which is interesting stuff, which we'll speak about a little bit. Well, I can't speak about it now. It's still kind of on the come up.
Yeah.
So you know how it is, bro. You don't really throw things out there yet.
Leak the news.
Yeah,
Leak the
bro.
news.
You don't wanna throw things out there while you're kind of still trying to figure it out, and you're still kind of making things make sense, because you know, bro, there's something called haters out here.
Nah, facts, bro. Ski facts.
Nah,
yeah, bro. I'm a big fan of DJ Khaled, and he calls them they. They don't want you to win.
They don't want us to win.
They don't, bro. They don't.
Yo.
But nah, bro. We've spoken about what you're obviously having not in mind, but it's been, you know, it's been coming for a hot minute now.
Nah, it's been years.
It's been years, bro.
We've been speaking
So once that actually drops, it's gonna be exciting and big news to a lot of people, bro. And I'm looking forward to it. Because there has to come a time where you gotta spread your wings and fly, bro. And I think this is one of those. And of course, God is definitely gonna take it from strength to strength.
Nah, bro. So I've been on this tip as well, as far as just speaking to different people about their dreams, their hopes, like stuff that they want to achieve. And I'm starting to find out that there's a lot of people out here, bro, trying to kind of make things make sense. But also what's happening is that life happens, failures happen, things happen that kind
It's
of...
almost December, bro.
Facts,
Talk about
bro.
life.
Life happens, failures happen. Sometimes people attempt things and then it doesn't really pan out the way they thought it was going to pan out. They try and achieve things. They try and go for their goals. And the thing is, bro, I've really been on some motivational tip where I've come to realize, even me in my personal life, I've come to realize that failure is part of the journey. kind of going through that motion is that's how it should be. In fact, there's one guy that I watched the last time, and he was speaking about how you must multiply your failures. You must kind of take your failure and you must kind of say, look, I've failed and things didn't work out this way, but I'm going to take this as an experience and try again. And then take that as an experience and try again. And sometimes you got to just adjust the way you look at it. Maybe, you looked at it in the wrong way, or maybe you didn't really think that it's going to go that way or the other way. And then you just change your approach and try it again. Yeah. And then somewhere along the line you find, okay, maybe this is not for me. Let me try something else. But the key is you have to keep going. You have to keep moving. You have to keep pushing. There's no such thing as like, well, I tried, it didn't work, and then boom, now I'm just sitting. And then you go into a bit of a depression, you kind of just hoping for things to work. And there's a popular saying that says, there's no perfect time for anything, and nothing just works. You got to kind of push it through, force your way through it, kind of just hash it out until you get there.
I think, bro. I think another important thing is set realistic goals, bro, especially in the beginning of your voyage, your journey, what you're trying to achieve. Set realistic goals. Yes, I do understand the whole go beast mode, go hard on them, I'ma go get it. But set realistic goals. I mean, we are in what, August now. If you haven't achieved what you want to achieve, at least do one thing that you didn't do last year. Do one thing that at the end of the year,
start
somewhere. Even if it's just one thing and it took you 12 months. 12 months is a long time. Just do one thing at least. Then at least you know in Jan, okay, no, at least I achieved one. Because me, myself, bro, I wanted to drop a lot of stuff in the beginning of this year, bro. But starting a business and so forth on isn't an easy thing, bro. Although I do have a lot of things in the pipeline. And I told myself, okay, it's cool. I wanted this thing to be out and about already, but it's not there. It's cool. But like I mentioned, I got a lot of things in the pipeline.
But you didn't give up on the dream, though.
No. No
you
ways,
give up
bro.
On the dream. You're not
no
out
ways,
saying
bro.
That. You're not out here saying that.
No ways, bro. If it takes me 5-10 years, bro, so be it, bro. But I'm never gonna give up on the dream, bro. I'm never ever gonna give up on the dream. That's what I'm saying. At the end of this year, there's a lot of stuff that I've done undercover, and a lot of times you gotta be patient as well. There has to be things that. The groundwork, bro. The groundwork has to be done. And the frustrating thing is I want people to see this. I want people to see what I'm busy with and so forth. I'm not chill.
What do you think about what do you think about like when the show started, I said there's some stuff, but I obviously don't wanna put it out there. What do you think about prematurely kind of making your dreams known like that? Do you think it's
I think it works for some people, it doesn't work for others. I think the nice thing about saying what you're doing and so forth on, it kind of puts you
it holds you accountable.
Yeah, it holds you accountable. It's like, yo, you said that. What's going on? Yeah. And you always spoke about this, bro. When we were doing events for Factory, bro, the youth, you said, not just put out a date, bro.
Just put a
if
date.
You're not gonna put a date, if you're not gonna put, it's not gonna happen. So here and there, even if it's not like you're on podcasts and so forth on, but if you are speaking to some people, I think that's actually good, bro. If you are speaking to some people, because if you just keep it to yourself the whole time, bro.
So, bro, there's some breaking news actually that I want to tell you about. Yesterday, I was in church, right?
Yeah.
And someone pulls up to me. They're like, "Hey, yo, there's this video of you guys that's of you and this other homie that's busy trending." I'm like, "Yo, what are you talking about?" And then
you're trending, bro.
Gee. But luckily, I'm not in a position where I've like compromised myself in any way, shape, or form, right?
Okay.
And so it's a video, bro, about a homie that we interviewed. I think it's probably like 5 or 6 years ago, right? That rich homie with the Lambos and the Ferraris and everything. Remember, we had him to chat on one of our events.
Yeah. I saw on Twitter, but I didn't I didn't read into it, bro. I didn't. I just saw his pic and so forth. I'm like.
So what happened was, bro, just for full context, so people know. So if people come across the video on YouTube, they're like, explain, Zakes, why are you speaking to this gent? So what happens is we obviously. So what happened
what happened, bro? That's crazy.
So we obviously we were busy getting ready for our men's breakfast, and usually what happens when we have our men's breakfast, we usually want like some influential people to come through, chat to the gents, inspire the gents. You know, that kind of thing. So we'll always have someone that's a leader in the industry, somebody that's doing well out there, somebody that's, you know, sometimes it's somebody that's popular celebrity-wise, sometimes, you know, depending.
Yeah.
So we were looking for like different categories and age groups of people that we want to kind of have to chat at the men's breakfast. And so we're saying, okay, right, let's get like an older gentleman to come and speak about business, come and speak about, because we're trying to inspire the gents, trying to get the guys like, you know, excited about business, excited about kind of pursuing their dreams, pursuing their goals and their vision and all that kind of stuff. So this is a hot take for those of you who are watching. This is like the scandal out there. But anyway, so then we're like, all right. So Lou, that's running the men's and he's running the breakfast and everything, is like, all right, let's check who we can get on board, blah, blah, blah. So I'm also trying to call around, trying to make my calls. So eventually we get the older gentleman, which was his friend, right? And so we get that gentleman. He says, nah, no problem. He'll come through. He'll chat to the gents. Fine. We book him. We connect with him. Getting closer to the time, we like start thinking, oh, snap, we need like maybe just a different demographic, like a younger guy. So I call this other friend of mine. I'm like, yo, bro, do you perhaps have a plug somehow, somewhere, of somebody that we could like reach out to that's out here doing business, out here in the industry, out here like, you know, successful? And he's like, yeah, I know this one guy. He's young and he's quite successful. I think you even went with me when we went to go record him.
Yeah, bro.
So I'm like,
that's what I'm curious to know, bro.
So he's like,
talk that talk.
He's young, he's successful, blah, blah, blah. Drives Lambos, drives Ferraris and all that kind of stuff. And obviously I'm a car guy and that already caught me. And I was like, all right, okay, dope, let's go meet the guy.
Let's go check it out, yeah.
So we set up the meeting, pull through to the homie's crib, see the Porsches in the driveway, see the Lambo in the garage, everything. Meet the guy, everything. We're like, yo, G, here's the setup. We have this thing at our church where we chat to the guys, inspire the guys, breakfast-wise and blah, blah, blah. What do you think? Homie says, nah, I'm keen. I'll pull through. I'll come chat to the guys. You know, just share my story, my come up and everything. We're like, all right, dope. Can we do like a little bit of a, what do you call this thing? Like an interview kind of thing for our promo, for our marketing, the way we always do. Like, you know, we market this thing like that. We always come through and say, they shoot some of your cars, you know, get some nice drone shots of your spot, whatever. Just so when we play the promo, gents are inspired. Like, gents are out here looking at us like, yo, this is dope, this is crazy. So the homie agrees, everything fine. We go, we get the cameras, we get everything. I think you were shooting, right? Yeah, bro. It's like, all right, okay, Zex, let's interview the homie. So that's that video that's going around on Twitter at the moment, bro. The one where we're doing that interview.
No, I'm with it, bro. What's that video do?
Yeah, bro. So I'm sitting with gent and I'm like, yo.
Yeah, and you interviewed him, bro.
I'm interviewing the guy. I'm like, yo, so how did you start? How are you running your business? What kind of business are you into? Da. You know, all that kind of stuff. And obviously the guy's answering me. He's like, nah, I do this business, I do that business. This is what I'm everything going on. So dope. Fine, we happy. He's happy. Everything's good.
I think I still have that video, bro. I gotta go check it up.
You gotta go check it out, bro. So he's happy, we happy, everything's good, and we're ready to rumble, right? So anyway, the homie, yesterday somebody pulls up to me and they're like, yo, there's this video that I'm seeing on Twitter, and I actually see that you in this video. And I'm like, yo, this is crazy. So I obviously go and do all the research. I obviously go and do all the research that I possibly can so that I can see like what happened, because I obviously don't want to be associated with something that's whack. Yeah. So I obviously go through, I go check out what happened, and dude, it's like a whole thing between him and his chick or his ex-chick or whatever else, and it was like a whole tender swindler kind of situation. And that's one of the videos that are out there about what the guy does. But yeah, man. So all I'm saying is that I wasn't involved in anything. We just did this thing for the breakfast.
Yeah.
We interviewed the gents. So don't be out here looking at us like.
I gotta go check it out, bro. I gotta go check it out.
Now go check it out. But ladies and gentlemen, be that as it may, our guest has arrived in studio. Please help us welcome. Put your hands together. Yo, producer, do you have it? Please put your hands together. Help us welcome our guest, Mr. David Johnson.
Thank you, guys. My apologies for running late this morning. I just had to sort out some business, but thank you for having me. It's a great honor. I've only seen you guys on social media.
Yeah.
And now I'm here live with you in the studio. What an honor. Thank you for having me here.
So we've only seen you, man, on TV and on these
Facts.
like shows that you're doing. There's a bunch of stuff that you get into, but before we get into what you're doing and where you are now, I want to get into where it all started. So the other day, I obviously know your wife for a long time, and then I reached out to you because the project we were speaking about earlier, I'm like, yo, I got to speak to this man because I know that he's got so much experience in the game. Let me hear, get some of that knowledge and that wisdom, man, from people who know this game for a long time, which is the smart thing to do.
Yeah.
So I reached out to you, and I'm like, yo, this is my plan, this is what I'm thinking of doing. What do you think? And then you start dropping some dope nuggets, and then I realized, hold on, this guy, he's actually been around the block a couple of times. Where did it all start? How do you get from where you started to where you are now? Where did it all start for you?
Let's say I was born in Pakkelsdorp, right? Small town. You have to have a big imagination.
Where's Pakkelsdorp?
Pakkelsdorp, which is outside George, is where the Khoisan come from. So there's a lot of dream worlds, a lot of meditation times. So as a kid, the landscape was very open, very green. You still had gravel streets. We lived on a cliff, similar to this one I'm looking at now. Cool. And down would be a beach down there, and down on that spot, the Khoisan chiefs used to meet, and many of the leaders, they used to have these discussions. But obviously they had this dream world that they connected to with in terms of nature and the wind and storytelling. A big part of that tribe is storytelling. So you'd be traveling from far to communicate what has happened in other parts of the land. And I think that sort of filtered into my spirit in terms of storytelling and the landscape and how the landscape influences how you live. From Pakkelsdorp, we moved. My dad's a civil engineer, so he builds roads. So you can imagine how that also affected me in terms of meeting different people and still traveling in that Khoisan sort of tribalism in terms of storytelling and collecting information on the road. So as a kid, you're always engaging with people, you're learning new stories, making new friends. We moved to Jeffreys Bay. That is in the early 80s, 85, I was in Jeffreys Bay, and that was probably when I played my first role was the Pada. I wore a huge styrofoam hat and pink stockings, and the song I had to sing on stage was die Pada wil gaan opsit met sy nooi in die vlei chickie bubble gum. It was 5.5 years
That's
old.
interesting.
And I mean it was a nativity play, and it was packed. And I saw how all these people were laughing and cheering and applauding, and you get that appreciation. I was like, wow, that's what I like, this feeling. I want to do this. I want to make people laugh. I want them to enjoy life. And just for a moment in this dark room, you transporting people through your body, through your voice and this costume that you're wearing. And I guess that's the first time I fell in love with it. When we moved to Port Elizabeth, later on I started singing in the church choir with my parents. My mom was a alto, my dad was a tenor. So started singing in the choir, used to perform on my own songs in the church, with a pianist, with Andy Edwardine. I don't know if you guys know Aidan Thomas, he's on 702. His mom, he grew up in Mitchell's Plain, and his mom used to be the accompanist in the church. And she'd say, hey, you got a bit of a voice, come here, I'm going to teach you some songs. And I'd stand up in church and sing with her, do solos with her. And that sort of started my love for performance. But it was the 80s. And things we hit the state of emergency. We had to leave Port Elizabeth. Port Elizabeth, if you go there now, it's almost still the same. They're still burning tires. They're still protesting service delivery. It's, they're still fighting, but it's such a beautiful part of the world. A lot of people will tell you it's like PE is just not, there's no place like PE in the rest of the country. From PE, we moved to Uppington, which is that red, dry sand of the Kalahari, and there also starting over, meeting new friends, And I loved sports as well. So the discipline of having to run in races and training and things like that sort of fed in across to performing, of knowing you have to rehearse, you have to practice to perfect something, to get a better time. You're competing with other kids that now are almost bigger than you, faster than you. And I was always a fast kid growing up, but all of a sudden I'm in a new environment and there's new competition. So but it was always a stage, you know, that moment you run and you're in the front of the race and the applause and people cheering you on. I always loved that sound, you know, and how people sort of back you. And as an actor, people back you. People, they're sitting there.
So you get that feeling of like, yes,
you know.
there's
So you get a bit of a power in terms of that. And what do you do with that power? So, because people, they're cheering you on because you're part of their team. You know, and I think you learn those steps, that it's not just about you, it's also about the crowd and how they engage, and that their aspirations live through you. You know, not everybody's a runner, you know, but everybody can be a winner. And if your man is winning, then you winning, essentially.
Exactly.
And the one thing we say in theater is nobody's coming to watch you fail.
Exactly. They want you to win. And
So you become part of your audience. So that experience, I always loved it. I always enjoyed sharing it with my audience, telling a story, engaging you in the eye, and you almost acknowledging, yes,
I'm here, I'm following you.
And in fact, I know that experience. And you are highlighting an experience that I've never been able to speak about or share, because you'll be judged in your community for thinking certain ways, even if you think differently. And here you are standing up on that stage and taking responsibility for a lot of our feelings. And that's how I got into performance, was that I was helping sort of heal a lot of hurts in my community by standing up on that stage and doing that, and having my team cheer me on and saying, thank you for telling my story, you know, and doing it with a group of other actors. So that's how I sort of got into acting, how I grew in.
So that was in Uppington.
In Uppington, I was straight sports. Right?
Yeah.
There wasn't drama or anything like that. But I've always been, because I was new to the neighborhood, my Friday nights I spent standing in front of the mirror, dancing, listening to Toyota Top 20, copying the artists of the time.
Did you also do that thing where you press record and play at the same time?
Write the lyrics, everything, come to school, rap it down.
You know that cassette?
Exactly.
You record the radio.
And that's how they recorded songs in the beginning, you know. That's how music always started, was that first record the beat, and then they record the lyric with the beat on the track, because that's how music first started.
That's interesting. But you into music, you into dance, you into the performing arts almost as a whole. Then you move... So at some point you end up in Cape Town.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Cape Town. So I come to, I finish off primary school in Cape Town. That was just after Nelson Mandela was released. So the country sort of seemed open again.
Was that 1990?
Yeah, 1990, right?
Yeah.
So the things are sort of starting to change. And remember, as a boy of color living in certain spaces, you sort of feel that animosity from that regime at that time, and you're watching your dad being humiliated as a man. You know, you're dealing with a lot of emotions, yet he's got to raise a family, and he's walking into spaces, and he's an educated man, but still has to have humility all the time, because our system at that point in time required our fathers to be subservient to the system and to men in power.
There's nothing they could have done about it at the time.
So you can just imagine all that oppression.
And it's embarrassing. I mean, when you're walking with your dad, and like you say, you have to watch him be humiliated. For him as a man also, it's embarrassing. Like, hey, in front of my light is now, you know.
Yeah. So, and you also can't show hate, because this is what you're going to teach your kid. You still have one to teach your child love and to enjoy life. So there's that poem, my parents kept me from kids that were rough, kind of thing. You know, it's this whole idea that your parents are protecting you against the bad parts of the world. And as much as my parents tried to do that, you know, unfortunately in our country it was in our faces. You're going to get
exposed to it somehow.
Exactly. So by the time we moved to Cape Town, you know, I've lived in caravan parks, so my dad didn't have work. I've had to live in aunts' homes, like the whole family. I've got an older brother and sister. By that time, they were in Cape Town studying at university already. But when I got to Cape Town, my brother was an MC. By this time, he was opening for people like POC in Cape Town. So when we had our first home in Cape Town in Lotus River, I used to have Shamil from POC beatboxing in my bedroom while they were writing rhymes and performing at the Civic Center.
So you're rubbing now shoulders with these
Did
big
you
boys.
did you always have the dream at this point though? Of wanting to to get into the entertainment industry.
I think I enjoy the feeling, but I don't think that I'd met Uncle Bill from Punk and Patch. So you sort of met the people that were on TV, like you. So there wasn't an idea that I was already doing it, although I wasn't getting paid. I was already entertaining people.
Yeah.
Even
And you were touching, rubbing shoulders with these people already at that age.
Yeah.
So it just sort of organically.
It happened. So it was like when it came to, by the time I'd finished school, did school plays, doing Fiddler on the Roof, West Side Story, being exposed to all these things. My father insisted on me going into a really good school. At that time, the Model C schools, which we can't say it anymore. That's now a different name. But at that point in time, those schools had opened for us. So I went into this school.
And those were technically majority white run schools. Right?
Exactly.
So they were almost like private schools.
Exactly. So there was other challenges you were dealing with there. Also privilege and knowing you're not coming from privilege. But being in those spaces and going through all of that, I wanted to go study psychology. That was my final in matric, grade 12. Grade 11 at that time. They said, "What do you want to become?" So you could go do job shadowing. And I went to a school for disabled kids because, psychology, you always think it's somebody laying in a chair and you're sort of telling them,
how do you feel?
How do you feel? They're responding, so also still on that. And then sort of worked with the kids and connected on that time working with, and also realizing how privileged you are because you have all your abilities, but also how limited you are because this kid has to make life with the limitations he has, and yet you only living with the limitations in your head of what can hold me back. Yet this kid is waking up every day and finding meaning in his or her life. And then in matric, I was like, okay, I want to do more. I want to do psychiatry. Let's do psychiatry. And then it's like, now you're going to have to go study medicine for 7 years first before you can specialize as a psychiatrist. And that was sort of like, I don't see myself cutting into people. And there must be a way to heal people. And it's funny, and I tell this to a lot of people these days, those things and those skills and those dreams that you have as a child in your imagination will evolve. And by the time I left school, I didn't know what I was going to do. So I told my dad, like, look, a lot of my friends are going into first year, they're failing. I don't want to, I don't want
you don't
to
want to do something that you're not gonna like
and
now.
There's not really money to study. Yeah, that was the biggest thing. And then he headed off into to a CD store. Went to go work in a CD store in CD Select in Tiger Valley in Cape Town. And then there you like meet Tola van der Merwe comes into the store. Kurt Darren was coming into the store. You go watch Tebe, you're selling his CDs, then you go watch him at a venue, and you're meeting TKZ. All those guys are now on the scene, Kwaito's taking off. And at that point in time, I was a big fan of Talib Kweli. And he came into the country, and they were doing the Black August. And afterwards, I got to meet Dead Prez, and hey, these Americans are here, you're listening to, you're buying their albums, and they just...
And now you're meeting them.
They're ordinary guys, and it just debunks this whole thing about fame,
It's like, this is just a person like me, yeah.
Exactly, and people give them status, but obviously they're passionate about what they do, and that's one thing you recognize about people in the arts, is that you have to be passionate about what you do. And that's when I realized I've got a passion for performing. I've got a passion for entertaining people. So why not follow that,
Facts.
And I was in a club one night because our CD store, basically, this is before the internet, right?
What are that music?
The CD Select. Was,
Oh,
I think
CD
it was
Select,
even
yeah.
known as Top CD at some point.
Yeah.
But CD Select. So people would come in and sing songs to you. I'm looking for this. And
They heard it somewhere on the radio. Yeah.
Exactly. And he's like, oh, this. How did you? It's like now that everybody's singing no at the moment. So you got people that music. So being in sort of providing DJs and meeting DJs, even I started DJing, and at that same time I started playing guitar. Everybody in my music store either played the bass or they played drums or something, and you know, it's like I felt out, so to go buy myself like a $600 guitar. And instead of Friday nights in the club, I was spending my time playing Bob Marley songs, you know, just sit there, chill, play Bob Marley. At this point in time, my folks are living in Namibia, so we're living in their home in Cape Town. So it's only myself and my baby brother. You know, so growing that, writing, and then I started writing little jingles, most of my music that was also coming out now, I started writing when I was 19. It's funny because people say your lyrics are still relevant today, kind of thing, because it just tells me nothing has changed.
Yeah, exactly. If your things from so long ago still making sense now, nothing's changed. So I want to now fast forward to. So I know you studied UTC, and you were in the drama space, obviously there already.
Yeah.
Now you start getting involved in the acting space, right?
Yeah.
As far as actual, how many movies have you been involved in? Like movies, I know you were in Seven the Line at some point.
Yeah.
You were in
Sure,
Getrouwd met Rugby.
We just finished Getrouwd met Rugby. It's finishing its last month now in September. UCT, you know, the thing is about university, it puts you in a sort of compressed learning space. You know, all the data and research and information is given to you, and they expect, so normally they say, at which university did you read? Because you spend a lot of your time reading. That is, you just collecting information and different practices and different theories. And by the time you're acting, you have all these tools. So you've been given a toolbox of information, and you grabbing in every space. From theater requires something different from TV to film. You know, film is single cam, you're working with one lens. TV soap is multicam, and theater is a live audience. And each one of those disciplines require a different interaction. So for the time that you're at university, you're busy working on all that. Films, quite a few. You know, I've been lucky to work with, when I started, the films that I did was international films. It was the first international film I did. I think it was Momentum. I think Morgan Freeman was in there, and it was a small role kind of thing.
So you were in that movie with Morgan Freeman?
Yes, what do you call it? I was with Morgan. I've been with her in a film with Morgan Freeman, with Forrest Whitaker and Orlando Bloom, and the girl from the Bond.
Did you go shoot it there in
No,
America?
we shoot here. They come and they shoot here.
They come shoot here?
They come shoot for. We got studios here. That's the beautiful thing about Cape Town. We got world-class studios, and people come shoot.
So they
over
come
here.
and shoot here? Because I know Denzel Washington also shot something
Also
in Cape
shot
Town.
over here.
And there's just a new movie that came out recently where Idris Elba also shot something here. I think he was in Mpumalanga or something, or Limpopo or something.
Tom Cruise as well was also here. So you get exposed, and it's funny. My brother and I, we were doing a show at, because my brother was also at UCT, but he studied law and anthropology. And sometimes I do, I tell people, you don't have to go study acting, because acting is just a thought process. It's about practicing and imitating and learning words. That's a big part. But we were doing a slave show at the Slave Lodge in Cape Town, and after the show, this old white guy walks up to us. And he's like telling us, "Oh, you guys were great, everything." And it's my 60th in 2 days. I would like to invite you guys. And my brother turns to me and says, "Was that Gandalf?" I said, "Yeah, that was Gandalf." So Ian McKellen had been in our audience, and then
so he was sitting there watching.
Yeah, but it's an open air. We take them on a walkabout through the slave lodge, and we tell them what happened here. And it talks about the slave revolution in 1801. In Africa, And it was basically they went out to the workers and said, you are now allowed to be free. The rest of the world, all the slaves were being freed. It was just in South Africa, it wasn't happening because of the colony.
And that's why they put so much pressure from the rest of the world onto South Africa.
Yeah, to try and free it up. But at UCT, like I said, that's where I spent my time reading and learning and things like that. And by the time I got into the industry, I had all these tools, you know. And not to knock, I came out guns blazing in this industry. I mean, by the time I finished with varsity, I'd already done 3 professional Shakespeares. I'd already been to most of the festivals. I'd performed with some big names already. So by the time I came to work at Seven I was already, I'd done.
You technically been you kind of established above a certain degree already, yeah.
You know, and yet a lot of people wanted to keep me in the space of you're a soapy actress. Actress. Well, not even that. It was like coming. You know when we go to high school, it's like I was coming back to high school now and now know your place. But at the same time, I now come out to the 80s, and you're not going to tell me what my place is. I've been living in
You're not a kid, yeah.
Yeah, but I've been living into that mentality where I've seen my father have to be subservient.
And I'm not going to play
And this
that
country
game.
should have changed long time ago. So having a lot of conflict when I was on the set of Seven Alan and realizing that they hadn't changed yet. You know, they were still... There was a portrayal of certain characters. And look, that's now, crazy. If you watch it today, it's changed a lot. But I was young and I was in this industry. And
you had to fight back.
I was gangster. I was like not closing my mouth about certain things. And at the same time, I'd just done the first interracial gay kiss on television. So I was getting this coverage on Kaya FM, on all the station. People calling me up, my friends going, dude, are you gay now? What's going on? You know, and I was like, this is a story, this is a character, this is the sort of oppression people have to live with because they can't speak out. So it was a vehicle for me once again to challenge people's mindsets. And then you come to work and your colleagues are looking at you because you're getting all this coverage, and who are you now? To be now...
because your role at let's say what it is, but at Seven Alan was X. But then you out here doing other stuff, getting the covers of magazines and things, and now you have to come back to work on a Monday and people are like, this guy, he's keeping it big for his boots, you know, kind of attitude.
You know, but all you're doing is you're walking with a certain confidence. You're walking with a certain knowledge of your capability.
How important is that, though, especially in the industry here in South Africa, where there's a lot of gatekeepers and this industry can, you know, basically suck you in? How important is that confidence? Like, yo, I know my worth. I know what I'm here to do.
I'm not going to let anyone just,
It's your kingship, right? It's your kingship. You have a kingship. You have a kingship. And as soon as we deny, and I don't want to say it's confidence, but it's the knowledge of your capability. And gatekeepers can be gatekeepers, but you don't want to go into a gate of a place that you know you're not going to feel welcome. And as I went on through the industry and working with, after, especially Seven Alan was a big learning curve for me to realize that this space, and in 3 months I said, look, I don't think I'm going to work here anymore. You know, I was like, I'll do my probation. And they were like, no, don't leave. They offered me a longer contract. And at that point, I was like, no.
It was too late now.
Things are going to change here. And I'm not going to be fighting with the sister. You know, and somebody told me, I went down to Cape Town for the weekend, and they said, it's not your show. You know, don't try to change it. So, and when they said that, I was like, let me go make the world.
Because because I can't now come and force this out to change the way he sees the world for so many years, because now it's also messing with your kind of emotion and everything, because now you feel like it's a struggle every day. You must come here and almost fight these people. And there's that friction, which can be healthy at certain points because it builds you, it makes you stronger. But at the same time, you're like, is this worth coming here all the time and having this, or should I just is my time rather well spent somewhere else?
Exactly. And I went off, and the thing is, in that time I got shortlisted for Lord of War with Nicolas Cage.
Serious?
So now my agent calls me up and says, look, they're postponing the film by a month. They're trying to sort this out. So I was like, okay, cool. So I also, you know, it was on that back that I knew, like, you still trying to keep me in this box, whereas other people are trying to uplift me. And
Imagine.
I went off to I went off to Grahamstown to play Jesus in the Passion of Christ, and I was working with a community group over there. Being nailed to a cross, sometimes they miss the nail, and that pain that you're screaming over there.
It's real.
And
Wait, you can't just brush over that. You have to tell us about. I also want to ask you about Malcolm X, right? So don't forget about that one. But you can't just brush over Passion of the Christ. What's that experience like playing Jesus? Because I know as a professional actor, you obviously want to embody the character. You want to think the way the character thought on that day. You want to feel what they felt on that day. What was that feeling like playing Jesus?
I went to a lot of churches. I went to go ask a lot of pastors, a lot of questions, a lot of just spiritual healing. I think as an actor, you also have to walk into spaces that challenges your own morality and ethics. So by the time I got that character, I wasn't even worried about the character as much as finding my spirituality, you know. And
you say that character pushed you towards finding it.
Exactly, because
it's Jesus.
Exactly. You first have to go before you play. And I love the Bible.
Nobody's trying to play Jesus empty.
You want to have that.
You want at least
the weight of that.
Yeah.
And I since a kid read the Bible. Always read Proverbs and Psalms. It's my favorite 2 chapters in the Bible, and it guides me as a man. I think just in terms of weighing certain wisdoms in your life and practicing it. So now to go into the challenges of Jesus and the story, you go to the masters, the people who teach about him, you know, and some I'm black, and now pastor looks at you, but you black. There is then you confronting a whole lot of other issues of this white Jesus.
Because they've been indoctrinated over time to think that. And Jesus
pastors had those comments.
Bruh, but you'd be amazed, bro. Because the thing is this, if you actually go to the history of Jesus, he was up there in Africa in he was more
tan.
Yeah, he was more tan, but they had more of like a what do you call this culture? Like Islamic.
Yeah.
Arabic.
It was
is
more
the word
Arabic. So
Arabic is the word I'm looking for,
if you look at where Israel is and that, it's
yeah.
in those spaces. So obviously coming to terms with my own experience, coming out of apartheid and once again being brainwashed and having been filled with all these thoughts, now I'm going to play a black Jesus, you know. And coming to terms with now it's his suffering. Because then I could relate. It's like you had this wisdom, this experience, and you were trying to free your people, but you were being oppressed by your own nation, and you couldn't. So it ended up that I was drawing on all of that,
all that life experience.
Yeah, because that's what you do as an actor. You go, what is my experience in this? And you know the suffering and watching the humiliation, and even you have a small understanding of how huge that experience was. And you're minuscule, and you only try to give your best, and you're only human. You're not Jesus.
Yeah.
You know.
And this is just the production. He did it in real life.
Exactly. So playing that once again, just as for me as David, being blessed and honored to be able to do what I do. And not just playing anybody, but playing Jesus. And every day, the community that I worked with, they weren't trained actors as such. They weren't in the Rhodes University. They were getting training programs on a Saturday. So that was also the thing. Is like, you're going to work with a trained actor.
With potentially amateurs, if you know.
But now we work hard. I go there, which is out of festival time. So you're also meeting people in their homes, in the community. And a lot of those actors are working in the industry today. You know, just from being able to debunk that thing about fame. Because it's the fame thing that gets us the whole
like
time.
it's so far reached, you can't get there.
Yeah, and your confidence changes because you're going, oh, now I've been exposed to this. I see how it works. And that was always my thing, was to open our community to these experiences that is going, there's nothing big about this. Because by the time I got off TV, when I got off 7 people were giving me power. They're like, I don't deserve this shouting and screaming and give me your autograph. I didn't do anything special.
I'm just living my dream here.
I'm living my passion.
Yeah.
And my passion is to serve people. And if this is what, now that I have your attention, now
I can do something. But here's the thing, the irony about the role that you play and what you say that it enabled you and allowed you to do is exactly the road of Christianity. It's like people think that one day when I sort my life out, one day when I stop doing my things that I've been doing, then maybe I'll have this conversation with Jesus. And the whole parallel of what you're saying is that no, but hold on, let's debunk that. Have the conversation with Jesus where you are right there. Regardless of how you feel, regardless
you're giving me goosebumps, bro. You're giving me goosebumps.
Because I'm seeing the parallel of what you're saying is that like, and Jesus is saying the same thing. Is like, yo, don't have to worry about. It's not there. It's right here. Just speak to me right now. I'm there. And the thing is, I see Tiffany got a question here, and we've got a bunch of questions. Jay, do you want to read? Especially that second question, or just read everything.
Yeah, well, first and foremost, thank you so much once again to everyone that's tuning in. Let the cues roll. Well, Tiffany saying, wow, just tune in. Hi, everyone. Bless up. And then she asked, do you ever stay in character offset?
Tiffany, only my wife will be able to answer that. It's such a...
you coming home there, woman.
Because it's funny, only once I got married and I was in this relationship, and it wasn't even me, it was my wife was playing Anita in West Side Story. Yeah. And one day she was scolding me, and I was like, Anita, can you please stay at the show? Because she was coming to me with this whole Spanish vibe about how... It's difficult.
You're like, Anita, we're not on stage now, please. We're at home.
Stop scaling me. I just need my wife. It's hard. There's different exercises you do to, to release or let go. There's keys you get given. Because if I was playing an American actor, I'm not gonna get home and like, hey babe, how you doing? Are you gonna let that go? So
Malcolm X here in the lounge.
like, are you preaching here to me? So there's little maybe qualities you might still have, little ticks, let's call them, of your character that you just, but because, and only once the show ends do you really let go. If you're doing a theater piece, I think on TV it's a bit easier because you go in, you say lines.
When you're done, you come home.
You'll come home. Most of the characters on TV are based on your personality. It's not like in America where you get like 3 months to prepare and you're gonna get fat and you're gonna grow this and you're gonna grow your beard, and go love. That's method acting. And normally what happens there, they go lock themselves away on sets for half a year. They play the character. So they live in there. That's method. But for us in South Africa, our industry is not like that. And the closest to that is theater. Because theater, you rehearse for 6 weeks and you get into this character and you climb in. And at night you
go home, you're still in that space.
So then and the best especially for my wife and I, we enjoy giving us the space. She's going to Cape Town now for a month and a half and she's going to have to create a character. I'm not there to distract her from that. It's like you're writing a big assignment and you need to focus on it now. So I need to give her that space. And I'm about to play Hideous Hook at the pantomime. So I've got to prepare for that. So even when I come home, I still want to be able to walk around like Hook. And now my wife's like saying, stop playing and come be my husband. It's like, but I'm making this character right now. Because you need that practice. The more you in it, it's easier to become the character.
And you don't want to switch off and then switch on, and it's like
you want to be there and be there.
Because what will tend to happen on stage is you will switch off, and then you don't want that to happen. You have to be able to sustain it. So yes, you can pop in and out of character. I think those people that climb into it too much. Like my wife, there's Bianca Lagrange, and then I get my wife who's Bianca Lagrange, which is a really loving woman that.
That's just your wife at home.
Exactly. It doesn't need the eyelashes, sequins, and things like that.
It's just baby.
So she needs to project that in the industry. That's her brand. And then when she's with me, I get the woman that sits on the couch and watches Netflix.
Exactly. It's your wife. Keep going with the
Okay, we got a couple of more cues from Rita Marley as well as the ampersand, but let's go through the Rita Marley cues. Which character have you ever connected with, and have you ever struggled to portray a character?
In Pop Rock and Roll, I had to play a gangster from Westbury.
Serious?
Yeah. And having, you know, like you come from Span and you, hey, there's a very different accent. It's the accent that got to me. And obviously,
What kind of things did you have to say for that role? Bar the swearing though.
my box. No, because yeah, that was called a BMW. My box. He said, you knocked my box, my bro. Hey. Because, you know, as there's little things that is like also in Cape Town as a J. You know, and yeah, and there's not a lot of Afrikaans that gets spoken in the slang here. You know, like words like span. I was like, I love words. I love cultures. And when I first came to Aldo's and to Westbury, I just completely
Immersed yourself.
because there's a certain energy within the communities there. There's a confidence. It's not as laid back in Cape Town. Because I also came here and there was Aldo's Jazz and people were running their own jazz festivals. My people were running their own, you know, and empowered people. So then finding that strength in the vocal quality of this character. You know, it's not those sing-songy like in Cape. Yeah, no, it's like bells. Yeah. It's not like that. And then, so finding that, and because it's a real living culture, it was playing that character was a challenge for me because it was I only had not even 2 weeks to prep that character. You know, I would have liked more. Imagine you must now come learn a whole personality, a whole energy. Because even if you listen to Trevor Noah, all these people from those townships, and you all sound like this, maybe, bro, yes, maybe. They all make brown people sound like that. And that's not how all brown people sound.
Nah, that's right. And sometimes when I watch him, I'm like, aye, bro.
You know,
Yeah.
you know, but that's all. And that was the thing that I also wanted to do, coming into that character, was distinguish to people that there are so many
Different
versions.
nuances. Yeah.
You can't. We don't all sound like we're from the Cape Flats, you know. And that's what I wanted to do through the character. I wanted to bring through and enrich, but it meant that I had to push myself, and also being a violent person, you know. I'm not naturally,
You're not naturally violent.
but now you had to try and portray. And it was funny because in Westbury when we were shooting. One night at 2 o'clock, somebody came out of the flats there and they were like threatening me. Okay, now who gave me permission to come shoot here and whatever? And my director saying nothing. You know, I was like, okay, no, bro, you want to be in the movie? Come here, come. No, come. Just take a friend, come act here. And I looked at the director, I was doing the scene with this guy. But I think as well.
So was he in the movie?
Yeah, so.
That's
but
interesting.
stepping with that same confidence, it was that confidence.
Do you feel like that role gave you that confidence?
Yeah, it made me push myself away
Like,
from.
All right, we're here now.
Yeah.
We're engaging now.
Exactly. So you have to also let the elements inspire you. That's also the thing about, like, you can rehearse everything you want, practice everything you want.
The trust,
but the
though.
moment
You
is
gotta
real.
trust. You gotta trust that process of like.
Facts.
Just have to let this go now. We're here now.
Jesus,
You must have
take the
pulled out the
wheel.
gun now.
Jesus, exactly, and that makes it real. That in those moments is when acting is no more just being, you know, it's not contrived anymore. You want that to see that on the lens, and you got to trust it.
It's real now.
Learning that character in 2 weeks, do you think that was your toughest challenge?
Yeah, no.
Or has there been anything else where it's like, I don't think I'm gonna make this, but
Man, this is part of my story. I got very ill in 2010, 2009. I got TB. Overworked myself. So I was working in different charity groups. So I lost a lot of weight. Had the cough. You know, and I was asked to play this American character called Eugene in a play called Yellow Man. It's a 2-hand, and it's a just over 2 hour long play, and it's just 2 actors. And there was this girl who just came from the States, Winnie Cowboy. She was playing the other character. So I was playing like 12 characters alone. She was also playing like 7 characters. So you jump, but trying to get through a speech and you coughing and you can't get through, and now you've been cast to play this character, and
now you just have to execute now.
While you get halfway through the day and you're laying and you're coughing, and your director is this great as Lara Bai, and I can't get, and I'm like telling her I'm burning up here, but now she's cast me and you know, she doesn't know who else to get to come play this role, so I have to fight every day.
You in it now. You have to make it work.
I can't even skip for 5 minutes, you know, without having a cough attack.
And I know you're big on gymming. Skipping,
Exactly,
is
you
your
know.
thing.
So I got, by that time I weighed 62. And I mean, I look back at images, I was just almost bones, man.
Yeah.
And I worked and I worked and I fought and I fought. And that was like 6 weeks of getting into this character, playing this character. There was a lot of emotional stuff with Eugene. Eugene is the yellow man, and it's basically how lighter skinned brown people discriminate against darker black people. That we did it at the Market Theatre as well, and the play went overseas. We toured it in Holland, and by the time I'd finally gotten, you know, I was now playing this character. You're playing to full houses and a standing ovations, and that's what you. There's moments where I don't breathe, and I got healthy, and I was fighting. And by the time they had to send my TB medication with me to Holland, you know, I'm sitting there before shows in the morning doing my TB medication, and it was quite an intensive show in terms of, because I'm playing my mom, and then I'm playing my grandfather, and he had pancreas cancer, and like coming to do it here at the Joburg Theatre, playing that character to the point where I got appendicitis. Because I used to stand there like this, look at you, oh my God, thank God, look at you. And it's like this long speech, but that one night I just got this pain shoot up my whole body, and I still have an hour of performance to go, and you're fighting this pain on stage. And you're going through. And the next morning I wake up and I'm like, I can't even stand up straight. And I still had to do radio interviews that afternoon. And then by the evening, I was sitting in my chair, and I told Morn'in, I can't stand. And then they had a doctor who came. He says, you have appendicitis. Rush him to the hospital. So they rushed me to hospital. So for 10 days, I was laying in hospital, and you know, physically manifesting all these emotions of this old man into my body and into my stomach. That I gave myself appendicitis.
Imagine that, bro. Imagine that.
True.
Let's get into the ampersand. We're drawing close to the end now. But I want to ask you about Malcolm X before we get to the end.
What about the industry here in South Africa, of course, would you like to see changed?
I think, sure. Yes, there's fame. Yes, there's all those things. There's the glamour of our industry. I think it's just in terms of the investment in the arts. Whether it's from the private sector, you know, I don't think a lot of us have much faith in the government at the moment, just because of all the turmoil they're going through and how much investment has been taken and removed in certain spaces. But I think they just to once again cultivate a culture of expression, and it's a big part of my journey, because you know I must be the change I want to see. So I'm not even pushing for those platforms to take me. I'm going. This is what I want to see. This is my confidence.
This is what I'm doing.
This is what I'm doing. Whoever wants to join me on my journey is welcome. But you know, that time for waiting for people to do things for you is over.
You're gonna wait forever.
So if there's anything, do it yourself. Don't wait for people.
And then the other question.
Yeah, I think this is an important question based on, you know, what we stand for here at the Inside Show. In your personal opinion, based on your observation, are brown-colored artists overlooked or discriminated against?
I think I love these words because this is what I'm going through at the moment. I've been using the word brown. I've been trying to stay away from the word colored because it's a politicized term. It's not something we called ourselves, right? At the same time,
we also use brown. I think that's why she put brown there.
Yeah. You know, and more where I'm leaning to is Khoisan. You'd hear me speaking about it earlier. The Khoisan king is sitting at the union buildings fighting for the people, the original people of this country, of this land. And there was a spirit of no boundaries, no ownership, and we shared, you know. That's our culture, that's our spirit. But
we still like that.
We
If you think about it, we still like that, bro. We like to make sure everyone's okay.
You know?
Yeah.
So if you know that about our culture, then where in our country is that being practiced in any corporate space?
Nowhere.
So our culture is not being represented anywhere.
In our own place.
In our own place. And that's what we need to get our culture. Stop, portraying brown people as our teeth are out, we shoot gun, that was the portrayal.
drugs
So
and all that,
if you look at any of the stories, what are our people represented as? So at the point I went, I'm not playing any more gangsters in your narrative. I want to play, there are people, my people who are sophisticated, educated, passionate, talented, everything. Represent that in your stories. So for a long time, I don't go acting things because I was like, no, that you now just.
You're not making me a Cape gangster now.
I'm perpetuating
the narrative I'm trying to avoid. Yeah.
So if we're being overlooked, it's because the narrative at the moment, just watch the films. You'll see who's being empowered through the narrative. Sometimes, and I hate to say it's propaganda,
No, it is propaganda.
That we're saying this is the most and this is the powerful, but in our own space, it's happening. So somebody is busy messing in your space. And you've got to empower yourself and be like, but this is how we express.
And part of my challenge is in the brown people who do make it want to associate now with the white people or with the black people. And then it's like, but hold on, we all came up here together. Yeah. Now that you got a little bit of notoriety, you got a little bit, now you're leaving the rest of the guys behind now. It's like, I'm now here on top. I'm now vibing with these people now. It's like, no, but we can't. You there. God has placed you there. So, yeah, but and also God has placed you there and given you a voice and given you a little bit of power. Real so that you can say, okay, come on, let me pull up some of the guys here, also cast them, get them in here. You know, and I think that's important. We mustn't get there now. Be like, sharp, we here now.
Yeah, and I think that's changing. I think we awakening now. I think for the first time, in the longest time, we realize that things aren't changing in our space. It's not being expressed as we would like to see it as in our space, and that's changing. We're all going now. No, what is it? Because you want to ask the questions now. That's the thing, because almost like the Matrix, you got to ask the right question, and then we can, okay, so you know what you want.
But that's why I identified you for that conversation we had last week. I'm like, this man knows what's happening here. And he's on my side, because immediately I recognize you to be on my side. So help me.
Yeah, and that's the thing. A lot of times I found that in the industry, people weren't willing to share information with me. And then I see you, Xavier, and I point out,
so yay.
You part of the problem. Yeah. You're not the solution. You're not here to uplift people. And
when I had that conversation with you, that was one of the main things. And I had that same conversation with Zayn Mias also, and he said the same thing. He said the reason God is allowing us to have certain places in society is for that reason, so that we can say, hey, this information was kept from us, and we had to kind of fight our way through and lose our way through, like lose money, sign contracts that was against us, do things, and then afterwards you're like, hey man, ain't like we signed this thing and now we don't have royalties on this, or we don't have anything on this. And so that's why I'm grateful for someone like you, and even someone like Zayn, where they come out and say, look here guys, this is the better way of doing it. I've been here, I've done this. Take my
and you know the better way. The fact that you are a sharing, giving person, you already know the better. They're gonna come to you to know what the better way is. You already know it. You don't have to go learn it. Telling stories is part of your makeup. We didn't write it down. We shared narratives walking across this land. The only thing that represents us is that we have paintings on walls to describe. We know how the stories must be created.
The basis of our history and our future is based on our ability to tell the story.
We already know it.
Hey, bro, this is an interesting conversation. Jay, let's just round up there, and then we're going to have to call it a day.
Yeah, so the ampersand actually ends off saying huge respect for you, David. You're truly an artist. I admire your passion, respect for the craft, and your strong sense of responsibility. And then we got Nathan.
What's up, fam? Sorry,
Thank
I'm
you
late.
everybody for all the questions. I appreciate it in the comments.
Nah, most deaf. And then we got Nathan saying this is probably off topic, but who are you supporting tonight? Man United versus Liverpool, of course.
Yo, you know, I love soccer. All. I'm actually running a campaign now with Epimax. I'm doing a skills development program for young boys. So, but you'll never walk alone.
Come on. There you
I'm
have
sure,
it.
I'm sure you're happy about that.
Most definitely.
But ladies and gentlemen, I do want to thank our guests for coming through today, man. Listen, you're one of the pillars in the industry,
Exactly.
and you're one of the guys that are there to make sure that for us coming up in the game, to say that, guys, you're almost like a father figure in the game, to say that, guys, look at go there. Watch for this, watch for that. Stay there. OG. Stay away from
Is
this.
it the grey vibe here?
It's a little bit of the grey, and it's giving that OG vibes. Now, but on a serious note, I definitely from my side, I do appreciate your input in the industry and in the game, and in the culture, especially for us brown people, to say that, look, and for standing your ground in the game, for not allowing us to, because I think a lot of times where we get let down is where we see, like, but now we expected you to say something, and now you're just leaving it. You can't just leave it, you know. But you were the one person to say, nah, man, wait. And I know Zayn had this exact same experience, because I've also spent a lot of time speaking to him, where we actually come up and say, hold on, guys, no, man. We actually don't agree with this. We're not going to play this game.
Yeah.
And thank you for doing that, because that is what allows people to look at us differently and say, hold on, there's more than just, like you say, nuks, tana, guns, kittere, gangsters, drugs. These people actually have a brain inside their heads. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Nah, most definitely. We appreciate your time. Thank you so much for pulling through, sharing these insights, knowledge, wisdom. And like Zake said, you are definitely the OG, and you're obviously making it easier for us.
Yeah.
Look,
Look,
you've been through the fire.
it's only going to
and we
make it better
appreciate
for
that.
everybody. When the truth comes out, we're all going to benefit, not just a few.
Nah.
And as you guys find your voices and express like you do here, everybody's going to grow. Like you see, we share this, and everybody's going to have insights. And like Tupac said, I'm just here to open the door. I'm not, that's all I'm here to do.
Yeah.
Thanks. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for all your comments, all your interaction and engagement online. Thank you for everyone who watched it. Please, if you did enjoy this, please do hit the like button. We are now on 2,000 subs. Thank you so much. We've only been running this show for this is the second year now, and to get 2,000 subs, you know the game of YouTube, how difficult it can be.
That's brilliant.
And so yeah, God has allowed us to reach this landmark of 2,000 subs. Please do like the video. It does help with the algorithm. It also just helps more and more people to check out what we're chatting about here and what we're doing here. And if you did like it, go ahead and share the link with somebody that, if you found something interesting here, share it on your WhatsApp, on your Facebook or whatever, so that people can come through and check out what we spoke about here this morning. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Gents, thank you for joining us today. I love you. See you on the next one. Goodbye. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to it.
Good morning to the folks. What up to the youngins, and bless up to the world.
And then Tay just put your info on blast like that.
It's what the people want to know, bro. My bad.
Nah, bro.
Yeah.